Good evening, everybody. I did add a slide in here today that wasn't in the presentation, so it's one of the first slides I'm going to go over. So I'm going to be presenting to you the mid-year student achievement data. We're going to look at data from last winter to this winter and also from fall to winter. One thing that we've been talking a lot about in the district is the mobility of our students and transfers in and out. So every month we've been tracking the number of students that are transferring in and out of the district. So on the left side of this slide is by month, the number of students that have come in and out. September is a lot because that's all the kids that came in even over the summer, not including kindergarten though. So we had 88 kids transfer into the district over the summer and in September that were not with us last year, and we had 43 kids that left the district. Whether it could have been in the summer or in the month of September, most likely in the summer. On the right-hand side, I created a chart by grade level, so you can see how many transferred in and how many transferred out by grade level. In parentheses, I put September because that was like in the summer. So when we're talking about the kids in first grade or second grade, when we're looking at data, I go back and see how many kids transferred into the district, how many kids transferred out of the district in that grade level. So in looking by month, you can see so far that January, we've had the most kids come in and the most kids come out. So we've had 9 come in and 8 kids come out. For the district so far, we've had 116 kids enter and 74 kids go out, which is a total of 190 students, which represents about 14% of our student population. So when I was looking at the data and I was analyzing the data, I kept going back to our transfer in and out data as well, because it's part of our strategic plan where we're looking to work with Linkit to be able to pull data based on the amount of time that students have been with us for each grade level. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is DIBELS. This is our composite score across the board for every grade, K through 6th. Up here, it looks yellow. The yellow is actually green on the slides. So I will combine the yellow and the green because the dark green is the core plus, and the yellow, if you will, or light green is core, meaning those are the students that are on level. So again, this is the winter DIBELS data. So at kindergarten, we're roughly 29% of the students being on level or above level for the winter, and they gave this assessment in December. So DIBELS was given before Christmas break. In first grade, we're about 41% of the students being on level, 46% in second, 47% in third, and we have a really big jump in fourth grade, 62% of the students are on or above level for DIBELS, 53% in fifth grade, and 61% in sixth grade. These numbers comparatively from last year. So the way this pulled out of Linkit, kindergarten is right here, so don't get confused. But the top row is last year winter at this time. The bottom is this winter at this time. So one of the things that I was looking at with this information was, if I look at kindergarten from last year, those would be our current first graders down here. So last year, if we add the green and the yellow together in kindergarten in the winter, it was about 42% of the kids. And now in first grade, we're at 46% of the kids being on level. So you can look at this data in 2 different ways. We can look at it at different grades, or we can follow the cohort and look at it that way as well. Sure. This is fall to winter, so this is this year by grade level. So we have kindergarten here, and what I always tell you guys is we want to see the red shrink and the green get bigger. In kindergarten, we went from 27% of the kids being on level to 29%. In first grade, it was 43% to 41%. 45% in second grade to 46%. And in third grade, 53% to 47%. Fourth grade, 54% to 62%. Fifth grade, 51% to 53%. And in sixth grade, 63% and it's at 61% right now. And you can see some of the reds have gone up as well. And at the end of the ELA data, I'll kind of share with you our takeaways because we dug into all the different subtests and what are the areas that we need to focus on. For iReady reading, so this is fall to winter, and it's exactly what we want to see. We want to see all of the green get bigger, and the yellow get smaller, and the red get smaller. Our dark green is our mid to above grade level. If this were just grades 3 through 6, the dark green is what tells us that's the prediction of how we will perform on the state test. So I will show that to you as well in this presentation. But our dark green went up from 11% to 30%, and the light green is early on grade level. It went from 16% to 22%. Our students that are 1 grade level below shrunk from 49% to 34%. And then our 2 grade levels below, 16% to 9%, and 3 or more grade levels below shrunk from 8% to 4%. This is comparison for every grade level. Again, this is for reading. So looking at the fall and winter from kindergarten, you can see all of this growth that they have made. Only 7% of our kids in the fall were on grade level, and now we have 41% of them at mid or above, and 35% at the beginning of kindergarten, and 25% are still emerging K. In first grade, there's a lot of growth here as well. Second, third, fourth, you'll see in all of them the dark, and once we get here in 3rd grade, this dark green is indicative of how we will perform on the state test. So when we get our NJSLA results, we'll come back to this data and compare the two. But in years past, they've been pretty spot on. This one is winter by winter from 1920. Now, 2021 is not in here because a lot of the students took the assessment from home and the data wasn't really valid, so that was removed. Looking at where we are, here we are this year, and this over here is pre-pandemic. So we're edging back to where we were before the pandemic with our levels, our number of students that are on or above grade level, 1 grade level below, 2 and 3 grade levels below. They're all creeping back up to the pre-pandemic levels. This is for every grade level. For every grade level, winter to winter, you will see that all of our grade levels are trending up. Some are trending up more than others. Getting back to those pre-pandemic levels, so 1920 is our pre-pandemic, and we want to look at 22, 23 and see if we want to get there plus and get back to where we were plus increase even more. In grade 4, the dark green is back to where it was pre-pandemic. Grade 5 is the dark green is above where we were in pre-pandemic. Grade 6 is the same. Grade K, 1, 2, and 3, they're getting there, but they're trending in the right direction. This slide will compare us, so this is our district here, compared to the national year to date. So the number of students in the country, it's about 7.89 million students in the country take the iReady diagnostic. And the national norm is the winter of 18-19. That's because that was the year pre-pandemic that they had all 3 assessments that they could norm the data. As you see here, we are at 30%, sorry, my eyes. We do better comparatively for on mid or above and early and on than the rest of the nation at this time for the winter assessment. This is by grade level. You can compare each of the grade levels. So every grade except for 6th grade, we have more dark green than the national comparisons. Grade 6 is very close. Actually, when you take the 2 greens and you add them together, the early on grade level and the mid, 6th grade is actually above the other nations. The percentage of students scoring in the red is better than the national average too. So we have less percentage of students scoring in the red than the rest of the nation. iReady has proficiency reports. So they give us, here is what our predicted proficiency will be on the NJSLA. So for third grade reading, at the top, if our students were to make no more growth than iReady, 33% would pass the state test. That's what their projected proficiency is. If all of our students achieve their typical growth here, 42% of them will score proficient on NJSLA. And our stretch growth, which is our goal, that's our district goal, that's our teachers, SGOs, everybody's working towards that stretch growth, 53% of them would score proficient on the assessment. So when the NJSLA scores come back, we will come back to this data and compare it. What the heck? Guess I was going too long. Made me nervous. All right. In fourth grade, same thing. So you can see up here, no additional growth in fourth grade. 45% of our kids would be proficient on NJSLA. If our students meet their typical growth, we're looking at 53% of them being proficient on NJSLA. And if we meet our stretch growth, we're at 59% of the students scoring proficient on NJSLA. In fifth grade, it's the same pattern. So it's 41%, 51%, 62%. Sixth grade, 45%, 52%, 62%, based on the growth that they make in iReady. So the takeaways from the DIBELS on the iReady mid-year assessments has been that the phonics instruction is working. It's impacting the data in a positive way. Our oral reading fluency accuracy continues to grow in grades 2 through 6. I'm not even hitting it today. Okay. Our interventionists for ELA in grades 3 through 6 are actually able to move away from phonics and into the comprehension interventions. So before, if you've been here on the board for several years, we kind of swung the pendulum back to meet the needs of our students with their foundational skills. And we're now seeing all the work that we've been doing paying off with them in those areas. So we're able to start transitioning the BSI support into vocabulary comprehension for literature and informational text. And all of our data is moving towards pre-pandemic levels. Our target areas, KM1, phonemic awareness, looking to do that more in small group. The phonemic awareness component is in the program that they use, but it's whole group. So sometimes it's really hard to hear individual students actually connect the sounds to the letters. In grades 1 through 3, nonsense word fluency, correct letter sounds is an area of focus, and automaticity in phonics skills. So what we're seeing is our students, they know their letters, they can do all of those subtests, but it's the 1 minute timed fluency component where we need to work towards. And then the upper grades, vocabulary, comprehension for literature and informational text will be our target areas. Gonna move on to math. So since we ended with iReady, I figured we'd start with iReady. For math, this is the same. So district-wide, you can see our green is much bigger than it was in the fall. Our yellow has shrunk and our reds have shrunk. Typically, we see this in math. We have a lot of growth, even with NJSLA. We grow, but we miss the mark on the proficiency levels. And you can see that we have a lot of growth here as well. Here it is by each grade level. So when we're looking at, this is by fall, from fall to winter, and in every grade level, the green is increasing and the red is decreasing overall. So again, it's a little disheartening when we see, 17% in sixth grade at that mid or above, 21% for fourth and fifth grade, 15% in third grade, 15% in second grade. This is winter by winter. So as a district, the dark green is more than the pre-pandemic level. So when I look at the dark green, pre-pandemic, we were at 19% of the kids scoring mid or above level. We're now at 23% of the kids scoring mid or above level. The light green is a little less, 26% to 24%. We're trending back up to that pre-pandemic level. And the yellow and the red is very comparative to pre-pandemic levels. This is it by grade level. So in kindergarten, 1st, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, you will see that the green has now surpassed pre-pandemic levels. Grade 2 and 3 is trending that way, and it's very, very, very close. In all of the grade levels, the red, the 2 or more, 3 or more grade levels below, is decreasing, and that's exactly what we want to see. Compared to the national data, we're doing better than the rest of the nation that is taken, and this here for math is 9 million students. So comparing our district to the other 9 million students that took the iReady diagnostic, we are right there and a little bit better than what they did, especially at the beginning. This is it by grade level. So you can see kindergarten and 1st grade is better than the normed data in 1819 when looking at that dark green area. All of the grade levels outperform the national data from this year and is trending more towards outperforming the norm data from 1819. Projected proficiency for math. According to iReady, if our students do not show any additional growth, only 21% of them will be proficient on the state test. If we meet our typical growth, 41% of them will be proficient on the state test, and stretch growth, 49% of them could be proficient on the state test. By grade level, 4th grade, we're looking at 19% if our students were not to grow anymore, 29% for typical growth, 44% for stretch growth. In 5th grade, we're at 21% if our students show no more growth, 36% for our typical growth, 44% meeting our stretch growth. 6th grade, 15% would meet proficiency if we showed no more growth. Only 29% will show proficiency for typical growth, and stretch growth, 37% of them would be proficient on the state test. The next part of this is the math interview and MRIs that we give the students as the universal screener. So remember, these are done one-on-one with the teacher and the student. For kindergarten, this up here will show last year, middle of the year, and this year, middle of the year. So last year, 88% of our students were on level. This year, 91% of our students are on level according to the math interview. For 1st grade, I compared last year, beginning of the year to middle of the year. Down here is this year, beginning of the year to middle of the year, which you could actually look here, kindergarten last year to kindergarten, or I'm sorry, to 1st grade this year. So 88% of them in kindergarten a year ago were on level, now 94% of them when we're looking at the math interview. In 2nd grade, 67% of the kids were proficient last year, 68% of the kids are proficient this year. We can take the 1st grade data here, 78%, and look that there has been a drop. But in 1st grade, they get the whole numbers assessment. In the middle of the year of 2nd grade, they get the multi-digit numbers because they should have mastered whole numbers by now. So that's why I couldn't compare beginning of the year to middle of the year for 2nd grade, because the assessment's different. Looking at 3rd and 4th grade. 3rd grade, this is the first year we've given the MRI, which is the math reasoning inventory. At the beginning of the year, we gave addition and subtraction. At the middle of the year, we gave multiplication and division, and it also gave us a composite score. So we don't have anything to compare this to because this is the first year that we've done this assessment in 3rd grade. But 68% of our kids being proficient for multiplication and division is really good, especially in the middle of the year when they've just started multiplication and division in 3rd grade. For 4th grade, last year we started giving this assessment in the middle of the year. So across the top, this is the composite score for last year. This is addition and subtraction for last year. This is multiplication and division last year. And down at the bottom, we have our beginning of year and then our middle of year. So this would be the composite. So 50% of the kids were proficient in the fall. Now we're at 49, not much movement here. This is addition and subtraction. 49% of the kids were proficient up to 54. For multiplication and division, it's 47, and now we're at 36, or 38, sorry. This is 5th grade winner. So we have from last year to this year, because we give a different assessment in the fall than we do in the winter. So in 5th grade in the fall, they take the whole numbers. Starting in the winter, they take fractions and decimals. So from last year to this year, last year, 55% of the kids were on level. Now this year, 73% of them are on level. For addition and subtraction, 57% were on level. Now 70% of them are on level. 44% for multiplication and division last year, and 68%. So we're seeing that growth. We're seeing the efforts of what we're doing pay off with the math. 6th grade doesn't get a middle of the year assessment, so I don't have data for them. And then the takeaways. So our positive is a lot of growth. We're trending towards the pre-pandemic levels in all grade levels. Some have already surpassed. Fluency in math relationships is growing in the lower grade levels. Intervention needs are decreasing and the remediation needs are increasing. Target areas on level and above level students to show more growth, closing the gaps between our on level students and our below level students. Focusing on increasing student accountability, independence, and confidence to apply their math strategies independently. And we're not meeting sufficient proficiency levels for the state test. That's clear, that's evident, those are the conversations that we're having. That is all I have. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Jane. I have a couple questions.
You're welcome.
When you compare the fall to the winter on the IRED, is that the same assessment?
It's a diagnostic. So, and it's, what's the word I'm looking for, where it automatically goes up and down?
It's adaptive.
Thank you. It's an adaptive assessment. So it starts them where they ended in the fall. And as they get their questions right, it will get more difficult. As they get them wrong, it gets a little easier to place them in the right level of where they are. So it's not the same exact assessment, but it's the same type of assessment.
Some sort of algorithm that adjusts in order to put that word into it?
Yep.
And then when they take that in the fall, are they supposed to be on grade level, or are they automatically one grade level below because they're taking, third grade? Are they supposed to be at the 3rd grade level in the fall, or are they supposed to be at 3rd grade level in the spring?
They're supposed to be at mid to late in the spring. So that's where we look at, I mean, when they come in 3rd grade, it's going to start testing them at 3rd grade. Not very many of them are going to be on level just entering 3rd grade.
Right, they would be on level at the end.
Right, so we really look at the growth from fall to spring. You'll see a lot more growth in the spring than you will in winter.
Thank you. I have 4 members' questions. Mark?
Just curious, have you, or do you put, I'm sure you plan to, if you have, share this information with your staff, teaching staff?
The curriculum team has really dove into it a lot. We took iReady at the end. We took iReady, it was due in the middle of February. We've sat with the BSI teams and gone through the data because we've adjusted tiers for kids. Sitting with the teachers has not occurred at every level yet. The coaches typically take that to PLCs to review with them.
I'd be curious to see what the teachers' suggestions, recommendations, what they feel causes for some of those proficiency levels.
Yeah, we review it at the...
I'd like to know the teachers, like I would like to hear what they see as the maybe, I want to say factor.
Yeah. Well, we did a data review of all of this with our DLC, which has teachers from every building sit on that committee, and they each break off and do the different groups. So the takeaways are from them, but that's a small sampling of the staff.
That isn't.
But I know what you're saying.
I want to know what the teachers think the problem is. Because it's the everyday classroom teacher that knows. And apparently something's not, in my opinion, you're going to go back on the board a few months, doesn't appear that it's gelling. Now, could it still be like repercussions from that horrible year? But the national, it's everybody.
It's everybody. And math is across the board, across the nation, and across our state, but also our turnover. I mean, the number of teachers that have left after the school year has started and trying to keep any initiative and training for the different programs going is extremely difficult.
Gotcha. So I'd just be curious if you ever come up with that kind of, like even an informal comment from a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Any other board member questions? Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.